Although the latest MCU movies have been exaggerating with the comedy, trying to create funny moments in situations where it's not supposed to be funny, no one can deny that the MCU has given us some of the most hilarious moments in cinema history. If you've never laughed while watching an MCU movie, you might want to check your sense of humor. Since the MCU is full of funny and hilarious moments, I decided to compile a list of some of the top most hilarious moments. Let's see if you find these moments as hilarious as I did. Oh, and don't forget to tell me your favorite moment from my list in the comments. Playing Galaga. This moment shows us how brilliant Robert Downey Jr. is and why Tony Stark is the best character at breaking tension. The Avengers are on the helicarrier, getting briefed on the situation with Loki and the Tesseract. It's a tense moment with everyone focused on the mission at hand. Tony Stark, being Tony Stark, can't help but lighten the mood with a quick quip. As Tony walks around the bridge, he casually points to a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent and says,
"That man is playing Galaga. Thought we wouldn't notice, but we did."
The line itself is delivered so nonchalantly that it catches everyone off guard, including the audience. And the way he says it just makes me want to laugh every time I hear it. This moment it's just too absurd to not laugh. Mentioning that a highly trained S.H.I.E.L.D. agent is sneaking in a game of Galaga during a critical mission briefing, it's just too absurd. And the scene gets funnier and funnier. The payoff comes later in the scene when we see the S.H.I.E.L.D. agent actually playing Galaga on his computer, proving Tony right. And what makes this moment even more special is that the playing Galaga line was actually improvised by Robert Downey Jr. It wasn't in the original script, but it was so perfectly Tony Stark that it made the final cut. This is MCU comedy at its peak. Spider-Man's Footloose reference. This moment was just too unexpected, and that is probably the reason why it worked so well, and why it made me laugh so much. I mean, they were literally making a plan to stop the most dangerous living being in the entire universe, and the fact that Peter Parker started arguing with Peter Quill about a movie from the 80s, it's just simply hilarious. If you didn't laugh, I am sorry to tell you, but your sense of humor is broken. The Guardians of the Galaxy have just met Tony Stark, Doctor Strange, and Spider-Man on Titan. As they strategize to take on Thanos, Peter Parker brings up Footloose. Star-Lord asks if it's still the greatest movie ever.
It's not like in Footloose, the movie?
Exactly like Footloose. Is it still the greatest movie in history?
It never was.
Don't encourage this, all right?
Peter's reaction is priceless. He enthusiastically states, "It never was," with an earnestness that makes the moment even funnier. The generational gap is what makes this moment so funny. Peter Parker, a high school kid from Earth, references Footloose, a movie from the 1980s. Star-Lord, having left Earth in the 80s, is still culturally stuck in that era, making him and Peter kindred spirits. Only a teenager like Peter Parker could be thinking about movies when half the universe is in danger of extinction. And Tony Stark's bemused reaction adds another layer of comedy with his line, "We're getting no help from Flash Gordon." You might disagree, but I don't have any doubts. This moment definitely deserves to be on this list. Loki's Get Help plan. Man, I really miss seeing Thor and Loki together. They really do make a fantastic duo, and moments like the Get Help plan are what make me miss them. This is hands down one of the funniest moments in the MCU, in one of the funniest MCU movies. Thor and Loki are on Sakaar, trying to find a way to escape and get back to Asgard. As they're riding an elevator, Thor suggests they use a tactic called Get Help, which Loki immediately protests. The banter between the two brothers is sharp and sets up the comedic tone of the scene perfectly. What makes this scene so funny is the complete absurdity and simplicity of the plan. Thor carries Loki, who pretends to be injured, and shouts, "Get help!" before throwing Loki into the guards. The sheer ridiculousness of the tactic is unexpected and hilarious, especially given the dire situation they're in. Loki's reaction after the plan works is priceless. His embarrassment and annoyance, paired with Thor's nonchalant attitude, highlight the stark difference between the two brothers. Loki's line, "I hate it, it's humiliating," is delivered with such perfect timing that it adds another layer of humor to the scene. He's a friend from work. It was obvious that one of the funniest MCU movies had to have more than just one moment included on this list. This movie has a lot of golden moments, but Thor's reaction upon seeing Hulk as his adversary has to be one of the funniest in the film. The humor hits immediately when Thor excitedly shouts, "He's a friend from work?" The line itself is hilarious because it contrasts sharply with the intense and gladiatorial setting. Here we are, expecting a serious confrontation, and Thor turns it into a casual workplace reunion. The reactions add to the comedy. The Grandmaster and the Sakaran audience are confused, while Loki, who's watching from the stands, is having throwback memories of the first Avengers movie. Thor's joyful demeanor amidst the chaos and the absurdity of referring to a fellow Avenger as a work friend is pure comedic genius. What makes this moment even more special is the behind-the-scenes story. The line was suggested by a young fan who visited the set through the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Knowing this adds an extra layer of charm and spontaneity to the scene. The physical comedy is also spot on. Thor's initial relief quickly turns to concern as he realizes Hulk isn't calming down. The quick shift from excitement to panic on Thor's face is brilliantly executed by Chris Hemsworth, whose comedic timing shines in this scene. I could easily add more moments of Thor Ragnarok on this list, but I also need to include moments from other MCU movies. Hope you understand. Drax's invisibility. In my humble opinion, Drax is probably one of the dumbest, if not the dumbest character in the entire MCU. But I do like him. His dumbest actions are what make him stand out from the rest of the other characters. And thanks to his dumbness, he gave us a lot of moments that make us laugh a lot, like his invisibility moment in Infinity War. The Guardians of the Galaxy are aboard their ship, discussing the plan to take on Thanos. Suddenly, we see Drax standing very still, munching on some snacks. This is where the comedy gold begins. Drax believes that by standing perfectly still, he can become invisible to the naked eye. I swear, only him could think that was an actual thing. The sheer absurdity of this belief is hilarious in itself. It's a perfect blend of Drax's deadpan delivery and the complete seriousness with which he holds this belief. The comedic timing is spot on. Just as we start to appreciate the absurdity of Drax's claim, Mantis walks in and immediately says, "Hi Drax," breaking his stealth. This immediate debunking of his invisibility trick is both unexpected and perfectly timed, adding to the humor. The reactions of the other Guardians, particularly Peter Quill, enhance the scene's hilarity. Peter's bemused expression and the sheer disbelief in his voice when he responds to Drax add layers to the comedy. Throughout the Guardians films, Drax has been known for his literal interpretation of everything and his lack of social awareness. This moment is a culmination of all those traits, presented in a single, side-splitting scene. I advise you to never try this with your friends and family. I am talking from experience. It doesn't work. Star-Lord's dance-off. Despite Star-Lord being old enough to have some sense, it seems he still hasn't outgrown his adolescence. Let's say he still feels like Peter Parker. And proof of this is in moments like this one. Imagine that you are facing Ronan the Accuser, a powerful and menacing villain who's about to unleash the full power of one of the Infinity Stones. The tension is sky-high, and the fate of the galaxy hangs in the balance. What would you do in this situation? Run away? Understandable. I probably would do the same. Or would you try to fight Ronan? Well, you would probably do one of those two things. But guess what Star-Lord did? Yep. Out of nowhere, Star-Lord challenges Ronan to a dance-off. I mean, this option is not totally stupid because Star-Lord knew that the only way he could defeat Ronan was in a dance fight, not in a fist fight. In the middle of this epic showdown, Peter Quill starts singing "Oh Child" and dancing like there's no tomorrow. The sudden shift from serious to silly catches everyone off guard, including us and the characters in the movie. This powerful, almost indestructible villain is completely dumbfounded. He has no idea how to respond to Star-Lord's antics, and his confusion adds to the comedy. Peter's explanation of the dance off bro, me and you, adds another layer of comedy. And Chris Pratt's dance moves are goofy yet endearing, and his willingness to look ridiculous in the face of danger makes us root for him even more. The contrast between his carefree dancing and the high-stakes scenario creates a hilarious juxtaposition. And the best part? His tactic was perfect. It worked flawlessly. I'm starting to think that Star-Lord is actually a genius. Why is Gamora? I feel like the majority of people would agree that this is probably the most hilarious moment in the entire MCU. And the fact that Drax's line wasn't on the script makes this moment even more iconic. This shows that David Bautista truly understood the character he was playing. Everything starts when the Guardians of the Galaxy found Tony Stark, Doctor Strange, and Peter Parker. Both groups think the other is working for Thanos, leading to a heated exchange of words and accusations. In the middle of this intense confrontation, Peter Quill demands,
Where is Gamora?
Tony Stark retorts with,
I'll do you one better. Who's Gamora?
just when you think the situation couldn't get more absurd, Drax chimes in with,
I'll do you one better. Why is Gamora?
Tell me where the
Drax's line is completely unexpected. In a moment filled with tension and confusion, his question adds an absurd twist that catches everyone off guard. The delivery is deadpan, which makes it even funnier. The Guardians of the Galaxy definitely deserve the award for the funniest characters in the MCU. They truly gave us some of the funniest moments in the MCU. The line, "Why is Gamora?" works so well because it subverts the audience's expectations. We're primed for a serious showdown, but instead, we get this unexpected hilarious question. Moments like these are what make the MCU so great. The ability to blend intense action with humor creates a unique viewing experience that keeps us engaged and entertained. I am telling you, my dream is to see more magical moments like this again in the future MCU movies. Now it's your turn. Name the top 7 most hilarious moments in the MCU in your opinion in the comments. I want to see if our sense of humor matches, and also that might help me make the second part. Now, if you want to know which characters Marvel and DC stole from each other, you really need to watch this video that is showing up right now.